Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from My Stand Gamers, and welcome. So today I want to talk to you about building the best possible ramming ship. Now there's a few factors I want to take in consideration here, and there's a bit of science behind it. And also I've used the Alcazar over here, you can see it's not actually attached to that block, as a base to test out the damage of varying weapons. Now when it comes to ramming a ship, there's a lot of factors we need to take into consideration, and we're not just to be ramming a flat slab, so aiming at a target wouldn't really make any difference. So the first one is when we hit this ship, the engines are going to basically absorb some of the damage, lowering our kinetic energy. So let's have a look at the science of the actual object. So first is going to be our speed. The higher speed, the higher kinetic energy we're going to have, and then we're also going to have the mass of the object. And the same again, the higher the mass, the higher kinetic energy we're going to have, because we're going to be a lot heavier and we're going to hit that target a lot harder and have more energy behind us. Now the next thing you want to think about is the tip of your warhead or ramming ship. Now if you have a large flat surface like this, you're going to spread the impact around a larger area. That can be useful because you can damage a whole side of an enemy ship. You can take out all the turrets, maybe all the engines on one side, and completely engulf that ship in half. But if you want to penetrate deep, say you want to target the rear reactor room with your ram just to cut the power completely, then you're going to want yourself a much narrower design. Now the narrow design is a little bit of a trade-off here. Say for instance we extend this out by one block. Yes, we are going to penetrate deeper into the enemy ship because all the actual penetrative power is going to be focused on this tip. Our mass is going to be directed into this tip, but this particular blocks, or these blocks here, will take more damage, meaning that these will be destroyed much faster, causing our rod to need to be a lot longer to penetrate deeper into the ship. Have you got all that? There's a lot to take on board in this sort of factor, and when it comes to building it, you need to work this out into an effective design. So let's launch these various rods at the actual ship and we'll see what sort of results we get. So what we're going to do to launch these rods is just a very simple, we're going to use the spectator camera to get up to a kinetic speed like so, and then we will just drop them and just see how much damage we actually cause. So you can see that one just clipped through. It bounced off the armor because the armor was sloped in that particular area. That's even another factor that you didn't have to take into consideration. If the armor is sloped, you've got a factor that it could actually just bounce off. So let's throw another little warhead out here. Now this one is actually surprisingly very effective. So this is just half blocks wrapped around a, well, just another half block basically. So if we just grab ourselves that half block, we align it with the ship itself. So pop that into position, and then we align ourselves with the block as well. So we're going to fire this at the rear area, and the rear area is a little bit more chunky. So let's just release that. So you can see what I mean with all the damage actually being focused onto the tip of the projectile and causing it to break very quickly. Well, look at the sort of penetrative power we're getting here. If you had this design on a larger level, you could simply cut this smaller ship in half. So we've got two more to launch, and these ones have kind of a bit of a mixed sort of result. So first off, we've got this one's made out of triangles. Now the triangles in Space Engineers are very strong, and I'll show you this now. So let's grab ourselves this triangle block. We'll move ourselves towards it so we can actually bring it in line, and then we'll get ourselves behind it. So this triangle block, I'm expecting pretty much amazing results. I know we're not calculating speed equally each time. So there we go. We've got very nice penetration. You can see how the triangle block actually moved up to the top area, and as it curved in, it caused a lot of damage to the top section as well. So the final thing that we need to test is the round block, and the round block is the most inconsistent I've noticed from firing at this. Sometimes it just rolls off, to be fair. So we're going to get a nice squared on line in with it. There we go. And we're going to ram into it again. So I do know the speed with the spectator cam is not going to be the most equal factor, but there we go. So in this case, with the round circle rod targeting this particular area, we got a basically through and through penetration, but it was a particular weak area of the ship. So you can see now how effective ramming actually is. If you decide to target the rear area of the ship, you could take out all thrust at the back. Now one more factor to take into consideration when it comes to ramming into an enemy ship is if it's moving. Now if the ship's moving away from you, remember all ships are equal in speed in Space Engineers when they get up to that maximum speed. So if it's making a run from you, your damage, if you manage to ram it, is going to be extremely low because, well, basically it's moving away from you, isn't it? It's moving away, you're moving towards it. Your speed overall is lower when you launch your warhead or ram into that ship. So for this next part, I'm going to test out this particular ramming tip. Now, it looks very effective. It's got a 3-edged blade, but here's the catch. Look how the end is actually shaped. This is going to cause it to do something you wouldn't expect. We're going to get lots of sort of kinetic energy coming out of this object due to the weight of it, but due to the tip being slightly bent, it means we're going to have ourselves a rather interesting case of deflection. So let's get ourselves up to speed. Go straight into the target, and you can see how the actual weight of the armor caused some damage, but the actual tip caused it to deflect. So all we have to do is a very, very simple modification to get this working, and I'll show you. So that actual tip at the end, we just cut that down, we cut that off like so, and there we go. It's as simple as that. We need a flat area, so when it impacts, it'll cause maximum amount of penetration. So let's give it one more shot, and then we'll do a little further testing. So we're going to just aim that guy. I think actually we'll get it in line with the actual ship, so it's on the same block level. Make it a little bit easier for us. And then we'll just launch ourselves in. So there you go. That is the intended effect. So if you start putting too many rounded corners on the end of an actual ship's design, you'll get a repeated sort of deflection effect. So you want that flat head, so you can just penetrate straight through in the center and direct all the energy on that particular area. But at the same time, you don't want to widen that head out, because the damage of the ship will just be spread across a wide area. Simple? Not really, is it? There's a lot of other factors at play in Space Engineers that really cause designing a ramming ship to be a lot more complicated than you would actually think. Now, I'll show you one final little concept. So we've actually got this guy over here. Now, this guy is one level of heavy armor with the penetrative tip. Now, the idea of this is that this bumps into the target and it will rotate around, causing maximum amount of damage. So imagine that this was actually connected up to a ship and it was on their merge blocks, as I was showing you before. This was a more experimental one, so we'll just grab that and we'll launch it. We've got quite a lot of damage going on in that area. Let's just launch it a little bit higher. And, oh god, we can't even place it there because there's too much debris. And boom. So there we go. Massive amount of damage, but more importantly, that penetrative tip in the center continued going through and throughout the other side. So you can see the difference. You can spread the damage out a lot wider, longer area, cause a lot more impact, or you could decide to penetrate a particular point, and that final little warhead does a bit of both. So what I want to leave you with when it comes to designing an effective ramming ship is think about, number one, the strength of your blocks and where you're placing them. Put the stronger blocks in the center and put the heavy armor around the outside, and that should allow you to cause a massive amount of damage and even cause some debris within the side of the ship. And there's nothing dishonorable about ramming, especially if you need to win that battle. Anyway, that's it, you guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.